Hello, everybody. Today I have another wonderful guest for you. Her name is Natalie Carey, and she's a personal trainer based in San Francisco, actually not too far from me at all. And I wanted to have Natalie on today because she's not only a personal trainer, but she's a body positive personal trainer. And that, if you know me, it's very, very important to me. And I feel like while there's a big body positivity movement happening on social media and on Instagram especially, I feel like there's maybe not too many personal trainers or actual like fitness experts who talk about this stuff. So, and Natalie's one of the people that I found on Instagram and started stalking and became a fangirl. So, thanks so much for being here, Natalie.
Yeah, thank you so much for being so involved. You always send me messages, and I love it because it's like Instagram has opened up this huge community for me to be able to not just like voice how I'm feeling, but then have all these other people respond and be like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. And you know, who else feels the same way is this person. And so it's just been a really cool way to connect with a lot of really amazing people like yourself.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
I know. Social media can be difficult sometimes, but it's also really great.
Yes.
All right.
Both of those things are true.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and how did you get here where you are right now today?
Yeah, so I'm Natalie Carey, and I run a company called Barbell Blondie Athletics. I'm in San Francisco. I've been a personal trainer for almost 7 years now, and I have been a body positive personal trainer, I guess, for 2 years. I definitely had a huge shift in my mindset and how I approach fitness a couple of years ago. I started as a ballerina in Santa Cruz, so I grew up in a very strict ballet environment where my weight was constantly being talked about by my directors. I was always being told to lose weight. And then in college, at my university, disordered eating was actually very trendy. And so sort of everybody talked about eating disorders like it was this cool thing that everyone was doing. There was a lot of pressure to be very thin there. And now I'm in San Francisco, and I am very blessed to work in this amazing community of trainers that want to learn about other fitness options and other approaches to fitness and make things inclusive and diverse, and just constantly ask questions about how we can make fitness better. So that's really been instrumental in shifting my perception of what fitness could be.
Awesome. So what caused you to take a different approach to fitness? What happened 2 years ago?
Yeah, so I am a competitive pole dancer, and in 2015 I had torn a piece of my hip. It's the piece of your hip that like suctions your femur into your hip joint, and so I tore a piece of it, and I competed on it for another full year. And so at the end of 2000, or in the fall of 2016, I was just in so much pain constantly. And my doctors and my physical therapists were like, you can't compete anymore. You can't do this thing that you're doing. You need to go through rehabilitation. And it was just this moment in my life where I was like, well, what am I going to do? I can't work out the way that I've been working out. I don't know how to like feed myself if I'm not working out constantly. And I had to make peace with like, well, this is where my body is at, and how do I accept it for what it is? And it was just like this light switch flipped on where I was like, oh, what if I just decided to love my body how it is and encouraged other people to do that instead of pushing it to be something that it doesn't want to be.
Right. So
Injury.
Injury. Oh yeah. Isn't it always that we get to the certain point through our own struggles, whether it's with eating or with injuries or whatever it is, because this is how we find the need to do something different and, you know, with a fresh perspective.
Yeah, like pushing ourselves to that breaking point.
Yeah, exactly. So
and I think a lot of you've had a similar experience of like your body just was not responding well and you had to find a different way. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Yes. My story with hypothalamic amenorrhea. I was just so overtrained and I stopped getting my period. And, you know, there was also other things like I couldn't sleep. I was always constipated. I thought it's normal to go to the bathroom only twice a week, you know, because my body just didn't have energy. And then at one point I realized that I can't keep doing it because I was getting more and more tired, and something had to change. So kind of like a similar, we were forced to change, but it was a good change, right?
Yeah.
Eventually it totally taught us something that we would not have learned otherwise, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you actually mentioned something interesting. You said that I decided that I'm gonna start loving myself the way I am. So how does it look like? How do you decide it?
It was honestly, it was just like one of those thoughts where I had no idea where it came from. I'm sure, like, I didn't even really know what body positivity was until I had started to already like write a book about it. And I learned that like it was already a thing that other people were doing. I thought I made up body positivity. But I definitely did not. There's a lot of history to it.
Right. Well, there's nothing new in this world. I think everything is already there, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of truth to that. Yeah. It really was just like this moment where I was like, well, what if I have this crazy idea where I stop trying to lose weight all the time because I've lived almost my entire life trying to lose weight. What if I just stop doing that? What if I just made peace with my body and like ate when I was hungry and listened to what my body wanted to eat and worked out and did movements that felt good? And on it, like, I'm sure the idea came from somewhere, but to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm a genius. What a great idea.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we have to unlearn those old patterns. And
yeah. It was just like such a, I don't know. It was just like such a crazy realization that like I had a choice.
Right. Okay. So how did it look like? Did you just decide it one day, and were there like some certain steps that you started taking towards this like healthier in you and more intuitive you? What did you start doing? Because there are a lot of people in my audience too who have absolutely no idea, because just like you, they come from a really similar background. They have always used to like tracking their food and measuring and go from diet to diet, and somebody else is always telling them what to eat, how to train, and they have no clue what they actually really want or what their body wants. So do you have any good advice how to get started with being more intuitive and start listening to yourself more?
Yeah, I think if you're asking specifically about how to be more intuitive and get in touch with what your body is saying, to really ask yourself, do I, like when it comes to food, asking, okay, well, I'm hungry. What do I really want to eat? And sometimes that answer is a cupcake. And sometimes that answer is a salad. And sometimes that answer is like something else. But like, I'm not certified in intuitive eating, but I've just been playing around with it a little bit myself. And honestly, for the first year after I decided to quit dieting, I made an agreement with myself that I was just going to eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. And I was just going to see for the first time in my life what it felt like to just eat when my body told me I needed to eat. And so I let myself eat whatever I wanted. Like I love vegetables, so I eat a lot of vegetables, but I also want to eat champagne and gummy bears and cake and like pizza, whatever. Like I wanted to see what it felt like to eat without beating myself up about it mentally. And then I also just going on the scale was a very emotionally triggering thing for me. So I cut that out completely. I got rid of my scale. I won't go on I won't let the doctors tell me what my weight is when I go to the doctors. So I just tried to cut out like triggering things. I think that's my biggest advice for people who are trying to start this journey is like, cut out the stuff that makes you feel bad. Like stop doing those things that make you feel bad about yourself, and then surround yourself with accounts, like social media accounts and people and environments that want good things for you and that want you to be confident and that exude confidence and empowerment. And I just started to try and find like books and accounts and movies and TV shows that made me feel better about myself, and cut out everything that was encouraging those negative, belittling messages.
Exactly.
I think that's, surround yourself with the stuff you want.
I think this is huge. The social media stuff is huge. And also,
Yeah.
what are you listening? What are you reading? Just pay attention to it. Don't buy those stupid fitness magazines. I actually put health magazines in quotes because a lot of them have nothing to do with health, right? So
Right.
just like stop buying this crap and find like positive people who lift you up, because
Mm-hmm.
you're just you're you're doing a lot of damage not only to your physical but also to your mental health if you keep being stuck in the same
Yeah.
cycle, having to lose and lose and lose and look better and better and better and skinnier and so forth. So I think this is really awesome. So you do have a lot of private clients too, right? You're a personal trainer in San Francisco. So how do
Yeah.
you put these things into practice with them? Do you talk about this stuff? Do you talk about body positivity? How does it look like in your sessions with your clients?
Totally. It's different for everybody, and it also depends on how they come in when they first meet me. Like some people come in and they've been following me and they know exactly what my message is and they feel exactly the same and they're just excited to exercise with somebody who doesn't want to make them feel like they need to look a certain way. And then other people come in and they're not as familiar with the work that I do. But like they just want to feel good in their bodies. And so it's different for every single person. But what I tell people always up front is I'm a body positive personal trainer. So that means I'm never going to push you to do measurements. I'm never going to push you to look a certain way. If you want me to take pictures or weigh you in or do those kinds of measurements with you, I'll do them because I support whatever makes you feel good. But if you don't feel like something is making you feel good about yourself, I'm not going to push you to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And then I always tell them, like, please communicate. Like sometimes I have clients who don't want to work out in front of mirrors because they don't want to look at they're not ready to look at their bodies yet. And then maybe they progress on to that later. I try and help them stay focused in how does their body feel, like reconnecting with what their body actually feels like as opposed to what they think it should look like. We don't allow negative self-talk in our sessions. So if they put themselves down, we have like a moment to be like, well, where did that come from? And how could you change that to say something nice about yourself? So if there's negativity, we address it, but there's no set program that I follow. It's just like a very individual basis.
That's great. You actually just answered my next question, which was like, what does it mean to be a body positive trainer, and what can one expect from training with a body positive trainer? And so say that, I mean, we have a lot of people who have never stepped their foot in the gym and they're scared. They're scared because they have this perception that everybody in the gym look a certain way. And of course, the trainers are the leanest and the fittest in the gym, absolutely. Which I'm going to say right now, it's not necessarily the case. I have clients who are way leaner than I am. I have clients who are bigger than I am, and I just don't want us to have this idea that trainers must always be the leanest and track all the calories and all that stuff. But a lot of people have this idea that this is what fitness looks like, and it's better to stay away from the gym because it's so difficult. I will never measure up. So if there is someone who wants to get started with being active, get to the gym, how can they find a body positive trainer? What kind of questions they should ask from the trainer?
Yeah, such a great question. So I actually wrote a blog about this a few months back because it's a really common question. Like, how do I find a body positive personal trainer? And obviously I think the first thing is to either go on Yelp or Google and try and look up body positive fitness or body positive personal trainer in your area and see what pops up. If you're not finding anything in your area because some places don't have that kind of resources available, I would say reach out to the social media influencers that you're familiar with and ask them if they have resources. Like, do they have somebody that they know in your area or somebody that they know who could refer you? Or do they know of an online personal trainer who's body positive? Like, I would reach out to the people that you're already familiar with and ask if they have those resources. If you do find somebody in your area who advertises as body positive, I say read their reviews. Go on to whatever reviews or testimonials they have and see what the experiences are that their clients are having with them. Because if you're looking for someone who's body positive and all of their reviews are talking about how this trainer, you know, I lost 50 pounds with this trainer and now I'm super cut and I've never felt better than I have back in my skinny jeans, and it's all about like changing your body, then that trainer's probably not actually body positive. Yeah, I would just really like do your research and look into what trainer you're going to hire, because there's a lot of trainers who are confused on what body positivity is. And if you do your research, that will come out in the reviews and also their social media, whatever they're putting out there.
Right. Yeah. I think body positive is kind of becoming, you know, a trendy thing, and it's a good word to advertise yourself with. I'm a positive body positive person, just kind of like I am like intuitive eater, but I want you to eat no more than 1,500 calories a day and avoid all the carbs, right? It's kind of like there's always this like this like condition, but I think this is not how it should be. You know, it's
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are just some signs to look for, and if you go into their testimonials, I think you'll probably spot it pretty quickly.
Right. So you said you have been in the fitness industry for about 7 years now, and you have seen it, you know, from all angles, I'm sure. So what are some of the things that you want to kind of delete from our knowledge about fitness and health, and some of the really bad information that's out there and people should be really careful about?
Yeah, I think what I would love to change about the fitness industry is that there's only one way to look fit or healthy. Fitness and health look different on every body. And so, but we only have like one representation of that. Most of the fitness industry's media and their magazines and the certifications they put out feature white, able-bodied, very low body fat percentage people, and they're saying that this is what fitness, this is what health looks like, when that's not true. That really cuts out 90% of our population. And so I would really love to see the fitness industry branch out and stop being so scared that they're going to lose business if they don't promote like that everybody has to have a six-pack, because 90% of the population is never going to have a six-pack. And let's give them an option as to how to get their bodies moving. I would love to see that change. I'd also love to see, I think so many times, and you probably know this too as a trainer, is that trainers love to be like, well, this is the one right answer and science has proven it, and there's only one right answer and it's my answer. And so I'd love to see trainers sort of open up their minds and be like, oh, I'm open to hearing other ideas, and having like a more open mindset about stuff. There's different answers that are right for different people.
That's so true. I feel like from the marketing perspective, it's not a good thing, and that's why not too many people do it, because I think we're forced to like pick a side. You have to be either this or that. You know, you have to be in like a HIIT camp, or you have to be in a heavy weightlifting camp, without realizing that there's time and place for both, and not everybody has to do one or the other, and you can do mix, and you don't have to do either of those things, right? So but if you don't like market yourself that way, you know, you're probably not going to sell that well. I feel like there's the marketing part too that plays a role in this thing.
And yeah, I think it's so cool when somebody's like, yeah, this is one answer, and then maybe this could be another answer for somebody else. I hate it when I see people who are like, this is the only answer. So I personally would be more drawn to somebody who was more open-minded. That's what I'd love to see.
Yeah. A couple of, I don't know, weeks or months ago, I don't remember anymore even, but you posted something on Instagram that I absolutely loved. I mean, there's many things that I loved, but this one particularly, you said that you had like before and after picture, and you said that you were happy in both pictures, right? The first one where you were like, I think you were leaner, and the second one, you were not as lean, but you said that you were happy in both pictures. And so I wanted to address it because I feel like with the body positivity movement, there's a lot of like, this before and after, and people say that, oh, I was so miserable in this before picture. I was like low body fat and my life totally sucked and it was terrible. And look at me now, I'm 30 pounds heavier and everything, like all the problems in my life are fixed now. And I'm like, no. And also it doesn't go the other way either, right? You don't get happy when you lose that 30 pounds. So why don't you tell us more, like, what did you mean by this post?
Yeah, I didn't want to post a picture of myself at my leanest and pretend like I had been faking having a happy life at that point. I was definitely going through some emotional and mental struggles at that point, but I was still living a good life. I still had a lot of really great things going for me. And then 2 years later, I am heavier than I was, and I still have things that I deal with every day, but I'm also still happy. And so it's just because you're going through something doesn't mean you can't be happy and appreciate your life. Just because you've conquered something or you're working on improving something doesn't mean you can't be happy. I don't think that every single before and after photo has to be black or white. It doesn't have to be, I was happy or I was unhappy at this point and now I'm happier. It's like you could be happy at both points and also still be improving yourself every day.
Yeah, I agree with it. It's not that we have to put like all our eggs in one basket, so to speak, that okay, now I'm happy and now I'm not, or it's the same thing what we talked about before, the polarizing, the extremes, right? One or the other. There's a lot of gray in between those black and white. So I think it was great, and I felt like this was totally how I felt too when I was still working out a lot. I enjoyed it. I loved working out. It was too much for my body, and I'm not gonna tell that I hated every minute of it, because that would make me like insanely inauthentic, right? Yeah. So
totally.
what would you tell are your core beliefs about health and fitness? Do you have any any of those things?
I think the one thing that I've had my whole life is just that movement makes me feel like the best version of myself. And that's the reason I'm so passionate about sharing it with other people, is that I feel like our bodies are made to move. And I know how I feel when I work out, when I feel myself getting stronger, when I feel myself pushing my body. And that's going to be different for everybody, but I know how great it makes me feel. And so I want to share it with other people in hopes that they also feel great too.
And what kind of role nutrition plays in that? What do you think? Like, I want to actually ask you about like counting calories and that kind of things, because a lot of people think that this is the secret to like feeling well and looking super awesome and all that kind of stuff. But then of course there's this other camp who says that, it's never necessary. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think that a lot of us in the body positive community we've been so triggered for so long by the diet culture and by being told to count our calories that we forget that not everybody had that experience. There's a lot of people who are affected by those body image messages, and there's a lot of people who that has never even occurred to them. So I would say if you're somebody who doesn't feel like counting your calories or weighing yourself on the scale or measuring yourself, if it doesn't have an effect on you emotionally, if it doesn't impact your mood and decide how you're going to be the rest of the day, then I think that if you want to count something, then that's fine. And that counting numbers it's not an evil thing. They're just numbers. I would say though that if you find that counting your calories and getting on the scale every single week determines your worth as a person, that it's time to reevaluate your relationship with those numbers, and maybe those are things that you need to avoid because they're an unhealthy habit for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be different for everybody, and I don't think that, I don't think it's black and white. I don't think it's bad for everybody or good for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, if you can just be okay with, okay, this is the number, it is what it is, and that's fine. I'm going to move on with my life. But if you make like a big drama out of it, like I personally used to do, like,
Yeah, me too.
I would always have to weigh the same 62 kilos. And if I was less than that, I was awesome. If I was more than that, I would figure out the way how to, you know, run more the next day, or like eat less the same day, you know,
Yep.
stuff like that. And this is where things get unhealthy. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, if it's totally consuming your mind and your life.
Yeah, I think it would be great if the people who haven't grown up having body image issues, I think it would be great if they acknowledged that some of those things are very triggering to those of us who have grown up with those messages. And I think it would be great if the body positive community recognized that some of the things that are triggering to us are not triggering to others. And I think that's the only way we'll ever be able to communicate with each other, is if we realize that some of us grew up one way and some of us grew up another way.
Exactly. So you look really happy in all your most of your pictures on Instagram. You have this positive energy and nice bright yellow colors, and that kind of, you always look really excited, really happy. Do you have your own struggles too?
Yes, I do. I mean, that is pretty authentic. I'm a generally pretty happy person.
I can tell that.
But I work on that too, right? Like that, that's something I've worked on. And I take medication. So I take an anti-anxiety medication because I suffer from really bad anxiety. And when I'm off of it, it just completely controls me, and I make poor choices because I'm just so controlled by this thing going on in my head. So my medication does help me to control that, and so that I'm able to appreciate the things around me. But I definitely have my own struggles. Like last week, I came home and threw a temper tantrum. My boyfriend will attest to that. I think for me, it's like I get mad, I get upset at things. Every single day, there's something that is not perfect. But I also try and figure out, okay, well, what's really going on? Why am I really upset by this? And how can I turn this around? What can I learn from this? And some of those things are a lot easier than others. But I think for a lot of people, it's really going to be a choice. How do you choose to react to what's happening around you? And I would say, like, taking care of your mental health definitely plays a big part in that as well.
Right. Yes. And there's nothing to be, I feel like sometimes people are really ashamed of it. Like, oh, I have to take medication. I think you're awesome that you're taking care of yourself, right? That's the main thing, isn't it? Instead of like being in this like emotionally super drained all the time and super anxious and depressed and not knowing how to handle it. I think it's awesome that you go and ask for help. That's why we have professionals who are trained in this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're coming up on time, but I wanted to ask you one last question. So tell us something that you're super excited about right now.
Yeah. Great question. So for the last year and a half, I've been involved in a super top secret startup called Tonal, Tonal. We just launched last Thursday. We just went public, and it's the most intelligent fitness system that the world's ever seen. And I'm one of the coaches that's been involved in it. And I feel like it's this huge opportunity because they hired me because I'm a body positive personal trainer. And it's this platform for me to reach so many other people and introduce them to body positive fitness as another option, which I'm really, really excited about.
Nice. So where can we learn more about you and Tonal also?
Yeah, so you can learn more about me at barbellblondie.com. That's my website, or on Instagram at barbellblondie. And I've got a bunch of resources on my website too. I've got a 30-day body image makeover that's totally free, and it's just 30 habits that you can start implementing to build your body confidence and to feel better about yourself. So that's on my homepage, and it's totally free to anybody. And then tonal.com is where you can see this super cool piece of equipment that I didn't create the equipment, but I've helped create the video content for it.
Right.
I won't take credit for the engineering.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge and Yes, I will talk to you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the great questions.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.